Thank you so much, Gary, for joining us today on Sonic Academy. It's a real pleasure to have you on the show. I know you're on the chat some weeks when you can get in this lockdown. So, yeah, let's, for those that don't really know, you go under the name Ejeka and you go under Trance Wax. Ejeka started first. How did it all start for you?
Well, it was, I suppose, I've had a Jack and I about what, 8 years probably, something like that. I had a few things before that, but done a lot of music in school. I went to university, sold my turntables and the kit. Went to university, flunked,
Uh,
and then sort of took it up again a bit more seriously when I was about what, 22.
uh,
Um, and then that sort of came up with that a Jack name just by typing words into Google, and that one popped up, so that was the name.
does it mean
And
anything?
then it happened to music. I was just completely random to come up with that. And then I suppose it was I was just making tunes, and then SoundCloud, as you know, was quite a big thing. It still is, but for like A&R and demos and stuff, it was just putting stuff on SoundCloud, and it was the Bicep fellas heard a few tracks. I already knew them, but
Mm-hmm.
they put a few on their blog, which was very popular at the time. And then I got signed up to Tusk Wax, which is a label that's done quite well, like an underground final only release type
Uh-huh.
thing. Got Bicep on a remix for that, and it's nice. Sort of, we both sort of grew from about 7, 8 years ago up. So I've just been keeping that going since. Really, I think it was a Pete Tong picked it up quite early, which was good. Getting the radio play,
Uh-huh.
quite important with all that. So I SoundCloud and radio play from about 7, 8 years
And so,
ago.
so
Really,
seven. I mean, like probably from a different era than we came from. So it was, we try to get DJs to play it and radio plays over the weekend and stuff. Blogs 7, 8 years ago and SoundCloud were very, very important in those days, weren't they?
the word I think there was quite organic coming from that, because it used to be, like people used to have an opinion as opposed to just seeing what was there on like iTunes or Beatport. People used to extract the best bits, and you got like like a short list of a certain type of genre or something. So, and if you used to build a story around it, I think the Bicep lads focused a lot on the artwork.
Mm-hmm.
To draw the attention to it, which is, as you know, from the days of vinyl, the artwork was very important to draw people to buying your music. So, yeah, it's changed a bit now. But yeah, music blogs was a very big thing like 10 years ago.
And you then moved kind of, I don't know, 3 or 4 years ago from you started doing this new guys Trance Wax, and what was the catalyst to move from the Ejeka, which is very much cool, very much in the bicep-y Printworks London, very cool scene. What was
Yeah.
the catalyst to move into this sort of re-energizing trance records?
Well, I was always played a good bit in Ireland and UK, and used to be able to play a trance track near the end. Slowed down a
Yeah.
bit. Used to play Back to Earth or a Signum track. You know, something like that. Something that was a bit still quite techno-y, but I used to cross over doing that, and then I realized I was starting to play like half my set was trance
Uh-huh.
tunes, and I was like, right, wait a minute, maybe I could just get away with doing a full set of this. So I think that was it. I was trying to maybe get a DJ tool initially for me to play, because as you know, trance breakdowns are a bit long for the kids
Yeah,
nowadays.
yeah.
So trying to compress everything in, slow it down, and I found if you put a breaks over it, it's a bit more organic when you slowed it down, whereas you just kept the four on the floor, it lost a lot of energy. So for some reason, jungle type breaks, something a bit groovy like that, with straight melodies, seems to really still keep the essence of the original.
Yeah.
So I think that was the idea, really.
So, I mean, like a lot of early sort of chicane records and stuff would have been using a lot of break beats, and the Brothers in Rhythm would have used it. And
Yeah,
if you listen to early BT and Paul Van Dyke things, they always started off with great break beats and stuff, and then went into the four on the floor. So it was kind of, I mean, it was there bubbling under, but so it's a it's interesting that you kind of discovered this marriage between the two.
yeah. Well, from being young, Chicane album was definitely the one I used to hammer. Far from the Madding Crowd and Behind the Sun.
Yeah,
he definitely got his inspiration from like Tangerine Dream and Brian Eno.
totally.
So to him, he was probably copying them. But to me, if I could make anything like what Chicane was doing back then, you're right. It's trying to bring in other bits of music. The album isn't a club album.
Yeah.
It's it's just nice, you know. And then, but trying to get back to that, I suppose working on an album now with Anjuna, and I'm trying to draw that as an influence. You know, trying to take it a bit more broad than just 138 BPM bangers type of
So,
thing.
what tempo do you work at when you're doing a trance wax track? What is the tempo you start at?
Well, the key to it is breaking it down.
Right.
There's a lot of tools out there now, so if they have a MIDI file online, it's a good start. If there's an acapella, you know, if you can break the track down, or if the original has a lot of separate bits, sometimes they're a bit too muddled.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not as obvious as just saying that's a banging tune. I want to do my own version of it. You've got to think how to compartmentalize it, you know, how to break it down into its bits so you can build it back up again. And then add bits as well. Sometimes the production wasn't the best in the tracks in the day.
Mm-hmm.
The melody was great, but for club systems now, especially the kick and the bass, they really do need the thump to stand up to the current track. So bit of a reverse engineering in that front. But I would always listen to the original, break it down from there, and then look online for tools like MIDI files or acapellas, and then work back.
And would that inform the decision of what trance wax you're going to do next? Would it be like you hunt and go, well, I've got several parts for this, and I've got parts in the record I can, you know, reimagine and stuff, so I'll go with this one rather than I'd really love to do this track, but it's, you know, say Foreign Angel, but it's just too muddled and there's no MIDI files and there's no sounds available online or whatever.
Yeah.
Does that inform your decision?
I think there's tunes that are too good and too big.
Yeah, classics.
You know, and there's ones you can't touch. You might have found whenever you were DJing that they're quite precious on their classics, the trance crowd, compared to some other genres.
Yeah.
If you do a bad job, like some people just don't want to know you anymore. So it took a lot of me getting young ones to listen to it, and then getting the older crowd to not think, what's he doing to all my precious tunes?
Yeah.
Bit of a marriage you have to do, but in the vinyl I do, I would usually do like two hard ones and two break ones.
Right.
So two four on the floor and two break. You know, that's what I do A and B side each release, and so people know when they pick it up what to go to. A bit, you know, it's not just random tracks. It's trying to think of two more chilled out ones and two more like clubby ones. But I'm coming up to number eight. I'll be number 8, so I'm going to do 8, 9, and 10 and stop, and then just focus on the original stuff.
Okay, right.
Fair.
And have you been surprised by the reaction? Like, I mean, I one mix that I have loved over the last few months is Sasha's Clash mix, where you have a couple of tracks featured at the end. Even Anjunabeats, you know, Above and Beyond Boys have jumped on board. So there's this broad spectrum of DJs that are really taking on board your music. Have you been surprised by the breadth of the DJs playing it?
Yeah, it is a bit mad. I don't know, there's a certain snobbery with music where people think stuff's a bit like trance got a really bad name there for about a decade, maybe because of the EDM sway, but a lot of big DJs are playing it now, like Adam Bear, Nina Kravitz, the people that would never have went there 5 years ago. I think Nina Kravitz has really trendsetted a good bit because she put the cool back into it.
How do you feel about that? Do you find that it's DJ, you know, techno DJs ironically playing the party trance tune at the end of the set, or you kind of just go with the flow and go, yeah, look, it's had some influence on them at some stage in their careers, and it's actually.
I think they all liked it. It's one of them. You just couldn't mention it for a while. Okay. So, I could have come up with a more edgier name than Trance Wax, but I might as well do what it says on the tin.
That's what I think it is. It's exactly you. It's not. You know, you're not trying to be Trance Wax. You know, you now know this is what you're going to get. You're going to get a break, slow down, really cool, interesting reworking or reimagining of an old
Yeah.
trance record. So I don't think it mentions the trance and it is on wax. You know, it's it's pretty.
Soon to be on digital.
Yeah, yeah, trance digital. But you know, I'm fascinated with you've kind of caught this zeitgeist at the moment. You're playing the Printworks. You're on all these really cool DJ lineups, and do you, is it young people that are really enjoying these new reworkings, or do you see it? Is it old heads coming out to hear them again, or what? What's the sort of demographic of your audience?
Yeah, I think the demographic's very important. If you think about it, people that are would have been there the first time round, or what, 40s,
Yeah,
maybe older, might have had two kids that have grown up
yeah,
who are going out, and they now have the time to go out, and maybe the money
yeah.
to have a night out. So yeah, I think I went to a Sasha and Digweed gig. Actually, I was warming up for them, Warehouse Project, and the crowd there was definitely father and sons about. You could tell, and that's sort of quite nice. It's the first time where that age group can come together because dance music's only what 40 years, 30, 40 years old in itself. So it's the first time where that's actually been able to happen. So there's definitely that. I don't know if it's a cool thing to go clubbing with your dad or not, but I think some people are starting to do
I can't imagine going clubbing with my kids. I think it'd be a
it.
bit
No.
weird. And are you blown away by? I mean, you've just mentioned it there. You're warming up for Sasha and Digweed at the Warehouse Project. I mean, it doesn't get much bigger or cooler than that, does it?
It's very hard to warm up for if you think about it.
Just go on and bang out 140 trance with the lads.
Stick a Agnelli Nelson
Yeah,
on, you're flying.
there you go. And what about what influenced you in the early days? What was what was the thing that got you into all this? What was the sort of uh,
Well, I'll say like watch your program every week, but I've a lot of respect for you guys. See, coming from Northern Ireland, and for what is quite a Dutch German genre, to get some sort of traction and get going in the day. Whenever it was, wasn't it Jiffy bags and duct tapes type of
that's what
thing?
it was? Yeah,
It's like it is. It's more competitive to get noticed, but the amount of effort you would have had to do 20 years ago to do the same thing. So people like you two, Fergie, um, David Holmes, just looking close to home. I used to look up the see videos of Fergie touring all over the place, going, "That's brilliant." So it's that. I think there's a certain sense of home to me about all this as well.
there. I mean,
Still think the UK and Irish crowds are the best. We're closed down at the moment, but everybody's going to go mental whenever this lockdown stops. That's just hedonistic mentality
yeah.
that we have in this neck of the
You
woods.
want it to stop just as the weather gets to about 25 degrees, and then you've got a big warehouse party to go to or outdoor thing
That's
festival,
it.
and the place just goes insane. And I think come December we could see an influx of maybe some amazing albums from everyone because every producer's just locked in the studio going, "I've nothing else to do here except make some music."
And then hopefully it takes people away from making everything so functional.
Yeah,
You know.
but I think you referred to earlier on. Trance had a bad name. For 10 years, and I
Mhm.
think rightly so. I think it became this formulaic. I couldn't tell one trance record from the other. It just became this same sound, same sort of big saw
Yeah.
pads, same sort of off basses and drums and all. And I was just like, why? The reason I loved trance in 1998 when we were lucky enough to have a hit was, you had like Foreign Angel, you had us, you had Cafe Del Mar, you had all these records that were very, very different in their sound palette and in
Yeah.
their groove, but they all essence had, the trancey, uplifting sort of vibe. It wasn't like let's use this pluck, let's use the same sort of super saws, let's use I detested what trance became, and I love what you've done is reintroduce me to old trance and go, do you know what? There was something really amazing about those old records, about the ideas in them, about the flow of them.
Yeah. 98 to what, 2001,
Yeah,
3 years
yeah,
possibly. And if you look at Jungle, which is sort of a bit of the influence in the Trance Wax, that's 2 years, 3 years they had their peak, and then every break had been copied
yeah.
basically. So they stopped. So what happened with trance? There was unbelievable creativity. Creativity. If you see Ferry back in the day jamming away on his wee computer, you know the music's unbelievable. Him writing out of the blue in 2 days just on this wee tiny Mac and a
Yeah,
JP.
yeah.
But the ironic thing is, it got called progressive trance when it was completely non-progressive.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, no,
So,
I totally agree. And I think what you're doing is unearthing these maybe some gems for younger producers today to look back and go, all right, this is this is interesting. It's not they're not looking back 5 years ago. They're maybe having to go back to 15, 20 years ago and going, this is classic stuff. This is where it's at. And you are right. The creativity was just it was just much more forward thinking and very. I hate I hate when somebody copies somebody else's record. Do your own thing.
yeah,
Be your own person. Be your own. Do your own vibes. And I love that you are being looked at with by Anjunabeats because it's breaking out of that mold. And I enjoy progressive stuff at the moment because of like Anjunabeat because there is that variation that I desire. Whereas
yeah.
trance, that RP trance thing in the Beatport Top 10 can be just like, God, I don't know what it is. So
Yeah.
the other thing,
Well, if you think about it, it's Anjuna Deep on one side, and then you've got Afterlife, Tale of
yeah,
Us, and that gap's completely closed now to the point where, do you know what I mean? It's non-existent. It's the same
yeah,
music but two different festivals. So that's great, in my opinion. The spectrum's complete there at the moment. And people just like listening to melodic music again, as opposed to the
bangers.
minimal era was a bit strange, for instance.
uh,
Everybody was on weird drugs, listening to weird noises. Like,
and you're going further down the rabbit hole of this classic trance sound by actually you've been collecting the last few months the the synths that we all would have used. So you've been on a spending
yeah.
spree buying all the old gear. What's been on the shopping list?
Well, I do. Honestly, VSTs are still my main tool here. I think the reason I got these is to get into the mindset of what the guys were doing, like yourself, Phil, 20 years ago.
Yeah,
But got I had the JP 8080.
yeah.
This here. This is the rack one. You can get the keyboard one. It's 8,000, but this is famous for the old.
Is there a preset on it called RPS?
Yes, well, there's a preset called
Could
RPS, and then
call it up?
there's about 2,000
Oh, right,
presets.
okay. That's El Nino. RPS is El Nino pluck.
Is
Yeah,
it?
yeah, yeah.
I'll get that going then. But this is classic arps,
And
super saw type stuff.
you're using the internal arpeggiator there, yeah?
I'm just keying it off this. Obviously, you've got it hooked up to the main keyboard here. But see, again, I'm using this just to get ideas more than anything. See, just going through the presets and having quick
Yeah,
jams.
yeah.
There was that. Have Lord Rack at the found like a zero to bass sound earlier. Might use that and something. I don't know.
So
It's been used a few
Garry,
times, but
this week
it's very bad.
that was the El Nino lead line was from the Nord, and
Yeah.
Everyday lead line was from the Nord, and it was actually me trying to recreate Armin's Blue Fear, totally getting it all wrong, and actually got Phil to recreate it on Anna this week. So we called up pictures of the Nord, and we were like, so this is this two oscillators, and then we got the FM amount going and stuff, and
And did you get it close?
yeah, we
Does it
did. Yeah,
sound
yeah,
like
we
it?
did. We totally did.
Yes.
It was we struggled. I thought it this low LFO on it, but it wasn't. It was an FM amount we had on it. So yeah, this is all the gear that we used. What's next?
Well, again, Chicane used that a lot.
Yeah.
I think the pluck from Don't Give Up from that. Honestly, this is the one I've had the less amount of time, but and then obviously the virus. I had an old virus there which I was using a lot, and then it blew up. It was like a second hand one.
Right.
So I took the bullet and bought it new there. But it's unbelievable. Just like for everything. But at the moment, I'm just using it for pads. I think the thing about that is the DSP, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's people say why you ban digital synths. It's not that. It's you've 8 different parts with amazing effects.
Yeah.
So if you can combine 2 or 3 layers, you're going to get a sound that's better than I've got analog gear, but I'm not making techno at the moment. So for me, I'm going back to the nice clean sounds more. You know, it's not all about having a modular synth that looks
Which,
complicated. It's about touch and go and getting ideas down, isn't it?
I mean, the synth I used the most in all my tracks was a JV 1080, which was just this digital synth with lovely big sort of evolving pads and a few plucks and a few little sort of plucky ARP sounds. So that's what those records were made on. That's the sound palette that they were using. We didn't have modular, we didn't have Moogs and stuff. It was cheap, Japanese Korgs or Rolands or whatever.
And if you go there, well, by doing Anna, but people still like a clean pluck,
Totally.
even if it's the 10th time it's appeared. it's the sound that people want at the moment. There's a lot of preset packs getting shifted with just nice clean sounds that were there. It doesn't take much, but it's just to have them at hand. So
and like, it's something I've, Phil has had some of the modular gear in the studio, and he's had the Bog, and he got the modular version, and it's literally you're spending 20 minutes plugging up patch leads to get a you're like a bit like, oh, I could just go to this synth and turn these knobs in about 3 seconds and get the same sound. It's a bit.
I have a few friends that have gone down that hole, and it's been 3 years later and there's not one track to show for it.
Yeah, what do you think of a new track? Bloop, boom. Bloop, bloop. Yeah, it's amazing. It's like,
and there's a power cut.
Yeah, exactly. And or your kid comes in and just pulls all your cables out, and you're like, no, So yeah.
But what I'm trying to do is balance it. Like honestly, I would go to Anna a lot, see the lay down. I would get an idea and see Anna just for the bass arps and things. Yeah. See to just get things going, and I would just stick to it sometimes and do a bit of EQing, or I would do like UHE stuff for the truncier sounds as well.
The what, sorry?
UHE, like Diva.
Yeah.
And Hive. Yeah. I use them because they're powerful, big RAM suckers, but you can get very nice saws and stuff from that. So for me, I'm trying to do more recording direct from this, but at the start it was just me going through getting ideas. But it's just getting everything to work together whenever you have gear, isn't it? It's not half the issue.
I was going to the next question was, how are you finding now integrating all this hardware into your setup and all? You were talking earlier, you've just had to buy a MIDI patch bay and you're dealing with ground loops and just calling things up. Is it enjoyable, or is it a pain in the ass?
I sort of enjoy the troubleshooting bit to a point.
Right, okay.
I think I can't buy any more kit. I think it's just ridiculous if you have 20 synths. I'm happy with what I have now, mainly because of no more inputs.
But also learn to kick the shit out of that gear rather than know everything a little bit. I love that idea of you have about 4 synths that you really have to work to get your sounds out of.
Yeah, if I had advice for anyone, it would be learn what you have. Like learn Ableton's. Like Recondite made album of the year and live show of the year just with
stock stuff.
Yeah. Like he just used the operator for most of it, all the drum stuff from there. So if he can get album of the year from that shows you it doesn't take much. You just need a good canvas to paint on, that type of thing. That my biggest problem is not concentrating on one thing long enough, learning it, because then you forget the little bit, go to something, come back and you know nothing again.
Yeah, no, it's shiny new toy syndrome. Oh, look, shiny new toy, and you go over and play with it and then forget about that and go, oh. So the other last question I wanted to ask you was live. Is it still just pure DJing, or are you planning to integrate any sort of live stuff into the show, or any plans for that?
I suppose that would be fun, wouldn't it?
It wouldn't be fun, trust me. It wouldn't, because you just end up lugging gear around and setting up synth, and it's a pain in the ass.
I think I've done one live show as a Jacka in Dublin, the District 8, and it was stressful.
Yeah, it is really stressful. I did it a couple of times with Inyali and Nelson, and actually enjoyed it afterwards, but the lead up to it was horrible.
Yeah, I think compared to Chemical Brothers live nowadays, people want visual aspect. That's the live aspect to them, isn't it? So maybe what I would do is trigger things, work on it that way. Maybe one synth to do some solos on, but work on nostalgic footage or something like that to get it across. I don't know. Yeah, you have to do it right and spend a good bit of time and probably money to get it right. Because there's nothing worse than a shite looking live show.
Which we did a couple of times in Delhi. So and what about what's the source of the breaks? What I mean, where are you getting the breaks from? Are you sampling old jungle records or breaks, or going to the band sample packs, or where are you getting?
Well, what I usually do is layer things. So I do have a machine. I was in the machine a hell of a lot, like 5 years ago, but I still use that. See, we're even going through different patterns and stripping layers out, and tweaking them. So I would get like manure sounds from that, but I would still go back to the jungle sample packs. And like drum bus, see if you just put drum bus over like an old break, it really, enabled in the instant compressor thing, it really does beef it up. So sometimes you don't need much more than an old loop and some new effects on it, but I try to layer things. You know what I mean? Have something old and new together, not just one or the other.
Cool. Well, Garry, listen, thank you so much for giving us an insight into your work. I'm genuinely, utterly fascinated by how you've kind of created this whole world yourself, and everyone from Sasha to Digweed to Above and Beyond, or James Grant and all, and even Ferry and stuff are really, really caught up in this. So, what's the plans for the next 12 months?
Yeah, well, Anjuna's single's out in 6 weeks, so that's the first single of the album.
And is it coming out on Deep or Beats?
Beats.
Okay, interesting.
So sort of their main type. They're trying to get everyone involved in it a bit.
Okay.
And then a few collaborations, hopefully with yourself.
Yes.
One with Garry. One I'm trying to do a Trance Wax versus thing as well. So the idea is to have the album, do a few more of the white label bootleg things, and then have like a versus series where it's brand new music. So I'm trying to come out of the whole nostalgic looking back and now trying to look forward a bit, trying to build the story that way.
Brilliant. I love the whole ethos behind it. Your whole thought process behind it is so clear and so on it. Look, I do hope I can work with you. As I say, I haven't produced anything in a long time. Business things have overtaken, and I'm so desperate to learn. Like I went and got pushed from Phil to go. I want to get back into making things, and so you might give me the catalyst. Sometimes when you're sitting going, what's this for? There's no purpose. If you have a purpose, it might help it along. So I'm not promising anything.
Keep the fun back in it. Just keep it fun and like was in the day, and I think that'll.
Yeah, exactly. And what I love about you, that there doesn't seem to be any constraints. You're not weighed down with trying to be like this person or this person. You seem very free as a producer and very sort of unshackled, which I love. It's kind of inspiring.
Yep, it's meant to be fun. It's a hobby for me that manages to pay the bills at the moment, so just keep it that way.
Good.
You know what I mean?
Brilliant. Listen, thank you, Garry, for joining us at the Sonic Academy. I know you're in.
Cheers, keep up the good work.
Thank you, and you're in the chats. You'll be in the chat. We're going to play this out tonight, and you're in the chat. And hopefully, anybody that's got any questions, please ask away, and Garry will try and answer them this evening on the chat. So thank you very much for joining us, and it's back to Phil. Thanks everybody for watching, commenting, and indeed liking. We really do appreciate all the support we get here on our Sonic Academy YouTube channel. So if you found this video super useful, please, we'd love you to hit the subscribe button. We update the YouTube channel every week with new content. And if you want to watch some more relevant content, just click on the videos beside me.